Hello everyone and welcome to episode 12 of Strat Watch. So here we go again, I'm going to bring you up to date with all of the latest stratospheric developments in terms of what's happening at 10 HPA over the Arctic and North Pole in the stratosphere. Have a look at the forecast data and we'll look at a historic winter. This week we're doing 1941, 1942. So I should get on forward back for you in a moment. Just say about the first video today was our 6 a.m. UK weather forecast. We're live at 6 p.m. We are 10 to 14 days, so I shall see you a little bit later on for that one. Right, we're going to start off with temperatures at 10 HPA over the Arctic and over the North Pole. We have actually had a bit of a warming, our first warming really of the winter. So back at the beginning of February, we was down here around minus 80, well below average, which of course is the grade line. This came from a JMA, by the way. Now, a few days ago, we actually lifted up close to minus 40 degrees there. Went up about 40 degrees Celsius in a few days. So a minor warming of the stratosphere. We have come down from that now. So we're currently sitting at about minus 60. We're still above where we was at the beginning of February. But we're slightly below average. So at this time of the year, the grey line shows that we should be around minus 55, something like that. About 5 degrees colder than average. Nevertheless, we have had our first warming of the stratosphere, minor warming of the stratosphere of the season. Also, we did warm things up a little bit at 30 HPA, but we still remain colder than average there, which is closer to the troposphere. Sorry, everyone, of course. So, we went down to about minus 90, extraordinarily cold, with the temperature at 30 HPA. Back at the beginning of February. We then lifted that up a few days ago, a couple of days ago, to about, I don't know, minus 73, something like that. We're now sitting about minus 75, minus 76, so we're slightly colder than we was a few days ago. And we are still below average at 30 HPA, much more of a struggle to lift the temperature there compared to 10 HPA. Well, let's have a look at some forecast data then. So the blue colours, of course, seems to be, or that's the cold temperatures at 10 HPA in the stratosphere over the Arctic and North Pole. Temperatures ranging from about minus 60, minus 76, something like that, particularly toward the Canadian and Greenland side of the pole. So as we run through the next few days, not a lot of change really. The Stratospheric Polar Vortex remains at 10 HPA anchored and rooted there. As we go through into the more extended range, then we find a significant warming of the stratosphere occurring over Siberia and start to push in towards the North Pole as well. The Stratospheric Polar Vortex is being stretched here to its limit, not quite split, I don't think, but it is being very much stretched there by the 7th of March. Got the familiar two lobes of blue, one going off in towards Northern Europe, another lot going on in towards the Atlantic and Northern America as well. Is that the southern stratospheric warming event of this season? Could that be the one beginning to develop through the first week of March? Let's have a look at the ECMWF. So these are weekly temperature anomalies, starting with next week. Week 1 is the 24th of February to the 3rd of March. See warming gathering through Northern Europe and back towards the Pacific and Western America and Canada as well. Week 2 looks like that, so quite a significant warming then starting to gather round Russia into Siberia, over towards Canada as well. That is the 3rd through to the 10th of March. So I assume that is like that, really, that warming that the GFS is showing. Week 3 deepens, that intensifies it and moves it towards the pole as well. That's the 10th, 17th March. That does look a little bit like an SSW, I have to say, Southern Stratospheric Warming event. The only thing I would say is that it's got to go a little bit more intense. We've probably got to go up to the yellow shading there. Go to 50 degrees or more above average. But as it's 3 weeks away, you know, there's still time for that to happen. That does look a little bit indicative of an SSW. That's week 4, showing that the warming is easing up, but it's widespread now across the stratosphere, across the North Pole, in the stratosphere across the North Pole. And then that's week 5 again, showing that warming up quite nicely. That looks like it's the SSW of the season to me, and a very early final SSW that would be, I guess. Another way of looking at the Stratospheric Polar Vortex is with the solar wind. So this is the extended range forecast for mean solar winds at 10 HPA. We remain pretty strong with the solar wind up there. It has had a little bit of a kick in from that modest warming that we saw a few days ago. The solar wind will actually be strengthening again in the stratosphere over the next week or so. But as we get in towards the end of February, beginning of March, then we find another weakening deceleration of solar winds. We now have lots of Ensemble Blue members that are going for a reversal of solar winds, a technical SSW, which of course is a reversal of solar winds at 10 HPA, 60 degrees north. Many ensemble members starting to appear through the second week of March. That's sending the solar wind into reverse. It may just gather really as we go on through March. So it looks as though at some point through March we're probably going to see solar winds going into reverse and a technical SSW. The ensemble mean doesn't get into reverse, or doesn't hit reverse until sort of late into March there. But I've got a feeling it'll probably happen more quickly than that. I'll be looking in this window just here around the 2nd to the 3rd week of March. If we do get an SSW, some stratospheric warming event, sending solar winds into reverse, that will have impacts further on into the spring. Not going to affect the winter, of course, because we'll be out of mid-tropical winter by then. But it's likely to affect sort of late March and into April. So the concern I'd have about this spring is probably focused on, I don't know, the 3rd week of March to the 2nd week of April. That window might have a tropospheric response, and that could be through blocking and possibly colder weather. So farmers, gardeners, growers will have to beware of that this spring, I think. We'll keep you up to date. Strat Watch episode 13 next week. Now, we're just going to finish off by having a look at a historic winter as we've done throughout this season. So last week we did 1939-40, but we couldn't show December 1939, annoyingly. But we could show 1940, January and February. And we also then looked at 1940-1941. The final trilogy of the winters in the early 1940s was 41-42, very cold January, and this one also has a very cold February, almost sub-zero CET February in 1942. Not quite, but almost. Let's have a look then and see how that happens in terms of the stratosphere, what happens in the stratosphere through that winter. So we're starting on the 1st of December. Got these blue colours here. These are the cold temperatures at 10 HPA. The Stratospheric Polar Vortex, of course. Right, well, let's go through to about 7th of December. And, well, you see very cold stratospheric temperatures are continuing there. Not much going on from a strat perspective. And that's the 13th of February 1941. Again, the Stratospheric Polar Vortex well and truly entrenched and, you know, looking powerful there from a temperature perspective anyway. And that's 17th of December. So a little bit of warming happening over on either side of the pole, but generally for the pole itself and for the polar vortex still, you know, nothing has happened to disrupt that. Christmas Day, 1941, looks like that from a strat perspective. Now, some warming beginning to develop over Russia and Siberia, not anywhere into the pole yet, and over the pole itself. Well, a bit of a displacement of the stratospheric polar vortex towards Canada, North Atlantic, and northern parts of Europe. Well, let's go on a few more days. 29th of December looks like that. And now we're starting to see a very significant warming of the stratosphere beginning to develop through Europe. Quite interesting, unusual place to start an SSW off. And so we're seeing that through much of Europe and beginning to push in towards Russia as well. Now, is this being SSW event of the season? Let's have a look. Well, that intensifies further on the 30th of December. But again, particularly focused on Europe, which is really unusual to see that. So a sudden stratospheric warming event, late December 941, is happening across Europe and across Scandinavia and Russia, interestingly. Meanwhile, over Pole, though, you see that although stretched, the stratospheric polar vortex still very much there over the North Pole and down into the North Atlantic and Greenland. This is a really unusual one, this warming. Let's see what happens on New Year's Day, 1942. Well, now it's starting to look a little bit more typical, isn't it? We're going to be beginning to push further northwards in towards Siberia and whatnot. Let's go through to the 2nd of January. Oh, well, now the warming starting to ease off a little bit, though. So maybe this isn't going to be like an SSW for the Arctic anyway, but it did reach SSW temperature levels across Europe. Really strange, this one. 3rd of January, looks like that. A lot more typical now. The warming is through Siberia, and it's stretching the stratospheric polar vortex over the pole itself. But the stratospheric polar vortex is still there. Now it's turning very cold again, by the way. So we're back to like easterly winds and whatnot, as we saw throughout the 3 Januaries, the trilogy of cold Januaries in 40, 41, 42. That's the 4th of January, 1942. Right, let's go on a few more days. Then 7th of January, looking like that. So, yeah, that warming, as significant as it was over Europe, wasn't the killer blow for the stratospheric polar vortex. Actually, it eased off. Whether it did help the tropospheric response, to get a tropospheric response across Scandinavia, to Scandinavian high, I'm not sure actually whether that would have been the case or not. That's the 11th of January. Now another warming beginning to develop. This time, well, again, quite an unusual place, but not as unusual as that first warming over Europe. This time the warming is like through North America, particularly eastern parts of Canada and out into the Atlantic. Now, get through to the 12th of January. That warming gathering pace a little bit more. 14th of January 1942 looks like that. So displacement event of the stratospheric polar vortex, and it's been displaced over towards Canada. And so that's quite unusual as well, with a warming focus around Greenland and into the North Atlantic. Zone winds would not, I don't think, have been in reverse at this point. So now we've got widespread warming, 16th of January 1942. Got a widespread warming through the Atlantic into Europe. Stratospheric polar vortex is displaced over towards Canada still. 19th of January. Looking like that. Right, let's go on a few more days. I have to say, the polar vortex here been quite robust despite these repeated warmings. So up to 25th of January, still in business with the stratospheric polar vortex. It's faced 2 significant warmings. The one at the end of December across Europe and Western Russia, and then the second one across Canada. It's still there, though. It's still well and truly in business. Last day of January 1942 looks like that. So looking very ragged with the stratospheric polar vortex there, but still there, still alive, and at least from a stratospheric level, still in business. Now that is the 1st of February. I start to see another warming beginning to develop over Europe. Let's go through the 3rd of February. So modest warming through Europe into Russia as well. It's a really strange winter from a stratospheric point of view. Now we've got another significant warming happening through Russia and up in towards Siberia. Is this going to be the killing blow? Let's have a look. So that's the 10th of February. Remember, February 1942 was a very, very cold month as well. So we have like 3 cold Januaries, 40, 41, 42. In 1940, February wasn't as cold, but was still quite cold. 1941, February was actually not overly cold, to be honest. And then we get 1942, which is like the coldest, but in terms of February, of those 3 winters. So 1942, 10th of February 1942 looks like that. Let's go on to the 12th of February. 1942. So we might, at this point, send the solar wind into reverse. Not sure if that's quite enough to do that, but certainly a significant warming of the stratosphere has taken place. Again, displacement of the stratospheric polar vortex into North America and into northern parts of Europe as well. 14th of February. Looking like that. So we really are weakening the stratospheric polar vortex a lot now, aren't we? And then that's the 16th of February, so another warming beginning to appear over Eastern America and out into Canada. This is a warming of repeated warmings, stratospheric warmings, even if they're all short of like an SSW. And a technical SSW, so it's like death by 1,000 cuts, I guess, of the stratospheric polar vortex this winter. That's the 18th of February. Go on to the 19th of February, and we've got warming again, focus on Eastern Canada and up into Greenland. 20th of February. Looks like that. Let's go a few more days further on. 23rd of February. Well, now you see the stratospheric polar vortex is pretty much done. It's faced so many repeated warmings, but it really is pretty much done for. We do still see a bit of a legacy of it though, into Northern Europe. I think got a technical SSW here now at the end of February. I think we'll actually split the vortex there. Let's go back to 24th of February. And we go on to the 25th. I think this is going to be a technical SSW late February and a split of the polar vortex 25th, 26th. Looking like that. Well, did we quite split it? I mean, it's pretty much done for anyway, even if we haven't actually split it. Well, I think we split it there. So, 27th of February, we've got one lobe of blue here across Northern Europe. Got another lobe over towards the west coast of America and into the Pacific. I would say that's like a split. And a technical SSW with reversal of solar wind at 10 HPA, 60 degrees north. That's almost certainly taken place there late in February. Whether any of those other warmings would have, been a technical SSW, though, possible they were. So, this is all historic data, of course. I assume it's been generated by AI. I don't know how else they would have been able to create these charts, because we wasn't actually observing stratospheric temperatures until the 1950s. So I'm not quite sure how they do these, and I assume AI plays a big role in it. But there we go, a very interesting winter, very unusual winter, with like repeated warmings of the stratosphere, not over North Pole, but all over the place in marine latitudes, I guess, and into Canada and Russia as well. Anyway, there we go. So that's how the winter of 1941-1942 looks from a stratospheric perspective. If you've enjoyed episode 12 of Strat Watch, please can you like, share, subscribe, and share for doing that. And we're going to be back at 6 p.m. We attend 14-day live, so I should see you a little bit later for that one. For episode 12 of Strat Watch, so that's all for now, and thanks for watching.